Hello. All right, so it's just the real quick uh word understanding before God that really understanding the call, the walk, the life as a believer, and really just being before God. Um, it's not necessarily just gonna be easy. Um, and what I mean by that is there are a lot of us that you don't have any like grand, ambitious, desires before God, but those of us that you really just love God and you simply, when you came to Christ and even, further along the road throughout your walk with Christ, it was just simply you love God. Like I love God. And so I just want to serve God. So I love God. So I'm just following him. And I just want to, do what he would have me to do, whatever my purpose is. And, I just want to be before him and in his presence. And it's that simple. So there's a lot of us that was just simply, our heart's posture, our heart's desire before God throughout this walk. But then God, he ain't just gonna let it be easy. And what I mean by that is even with that being your heart's posture, God knows your makeup and God knows what's in every man. So obviously we all know, right? He already knows the good, the bad, the ugly, the worst parts of us. But when it comes to our devotion, our love, our worship, our service unto him, even for those of us where it's just, pure, I'm not seeking nothing but just to be with him and just to do whatever he would tell me to do. So even with those of us like that, he's going to put that to the test in you as well. It doesn't matter if, your intentions and, your heart's motives are pure. He's going to put it to the test by calling you to do the very thing that you wouldn't want to do. The very thing that's just going to test exactly, if you have that much devotion to him, regardless of what it is. And so he knows each one of us so deeply. He created us, our entire makeup, our DNA, everything. And so he knows what that thing is that's going to put our devotion to him to test, to see if we really are so devoted that we're willing to do that very thing that we might not ever even really have thought about it, but once it comes before us as the call, as the assignment, whatever that thing is for each one of us, he will put that thing to test to see our devotion. And it's funny because I wasn't really thinking about it, thinking about Abraham and everything with this, but I think I mentioned before recently in another video, I've just been all, going through Genesis, really just focused on Abraham though. And so this was just something he was bringing to my heart. And I'm like, okay, God, I've been asking him, like, while I'm reading through Genesis, reading about Abraham, rather, I pray that you'll just, bring things back, refresh things, show me what I need to be focused on. And yes, these are, truths that we learn early in our walk with Christ and things that we learn from reading these familiar stories. But sometimes it's good to go back to these familiar stories and keep that in mind. So just me thinking about it now, because I wasn't even putting the two together. And that's even though I know this, right? I've learned it many years ago, right? I know this thing, very familiar story concept. But just now it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's why I'm right there with Abraham and him having to sacrifice Isaac. So, whatever that thing is, I'll say, just for transparency and understanding, because we all don't have a actual son, and we're not going to, sacrifice their life in that sense. For me, is I just want, peace. And I never really looked at it and really thought about that thing, just a simple life with simple peace. But God called me to war. And it was like when he showed me, I knew, the different call. You've had your teachings and a different call. But ultimately, for me, I knew the call to the office of the prophet. However, I just didn't think too much on it, what that would look like for me. It was just going with God, wherever God sends me, whatever he calls me to do. But when it was time to face that, because I'm called to war, to uproot, to tear down, and that's not an easy or fun call. So with that, it's like the very thing I'm like, I'm not doing all of that, God. I'm not doing it. And it tests that devotion, that love that I have for God. Like, how pure is it? Am I willing to forsake my own just complete? That's not my plan. That is not me. That is not what I want to do. But God said for me to do it. And putting me to the test, how devoted am I? Am I willing to do that very thing that I just absolutely don't want to do, was never intending to do? And so for us as believers, especially in these last days, it's going to be less and less of us just creating this path for our life. It's going to be less and less of just, we see it and we claim it and this is the way that I'm going to go. But it is really coming to those days. And I say here in the States because other places, people have been going through these certain levels of persecution that we haven't faced yet here in America. And so for us to start getting our focus on the Spirit of God in the spiritual realm, and just the realization of the reality and the fact that we are in a war, and preparing ourselves to be ready to fight, to be ready to, we're not going to be liked, we're not going to be loved, things are not going to be easy. We are not called to peace in this world. And so how devoted are we to accept the things that God is calling us to that we just don't want to do? But that's where we are. Amen.